Hey everybody, Michael Snyder here, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is November 16th, and right now we're looking at the infrared satellite imagery here. You can see the Arctic front diving down through BC, Alberta. This is going to mainly impact Montana, but it will set up some high pressure across the region here and continue to bring some offshore flow across the region, especially tomorrow. The gradient will increase a bit. We're going to stir up some of this air through eastern Washington. The gorge is going to be roaring for some east winds. Stampede Gap, Fraser River Valley is going to be getting some good offshore flow too as well. And we're going to remain dry here for the next few days before the Pacific systems start to roll back through the Pacific Northwest, but it looks like you're going to come in with kind of a vengeance here as we go through next week. The European showing 3 decent systems rolling through the area here, so the storm train looks like it's going to return, folks. We'll take a look at that in the extended forecast. Taking a look a little closer, GOES 17 satellite imagery. You see these valleys still locked in with these low clouds through Montana, BC. Look at eastern Washington, really socked in. You can see the clouds moving up into the valleys of the Cascades here, including Snoqualmie Pass. And hopefully that gradient gets going well enough tomorrow. We can clear out a lot of this stagnant air here through eastern Washington. See Puget Sound is dealing with some low clouds as well. You can see into the Snoqualmie and the Green River Valley here, the Kent Valley. Strait of Juan de Fuca, Strait of Georgia. But look at the Washington, Oregon coast. Nice and sunny this morning. Very nice. Get out and enjoy that if you got that chance. Taking a look at Seattle, 54 above average yesterday. Nice, glorious sunshine, 8th straight day with no precipitation. And we're going to go a few more days. Quite unusual for mid-November to go precipitation-free like that. We're going to be playing catch-up as the storm train returns early next week. This is last year, about this time, when we were dealing with the atmospheric river and the extreme flooding up through southwest BC, northwest Washington. Did quite a bit of damage. A lot of people are still recovering to this day from this event. Very impactful. So that was about a year ago now that we're looking at this, so I just thought I'd show this diagram of the precipitable water associated with that atmospheric river there. Now, taking a look at a wider view at things here, you can see the winter weather advisories for Montana here. Not much going on otherwise except for the low clouds and stagnant air. So get out and enjoy that sunshine while you can. The storm train is coming back here, folks. And this is that Arctic front impacting mainly Montana here. You can see some decent snowfall amount, especially for the higher terrains here, Billings 1 to 2 Miles City. And once that starts blowing around, it can get pretty disruptive here. So heads up if you're traveling out into Montana for tonight and even into tomorrow. Now, taking a look at the pressure map here, you see this huge high pressure just dominating the west coast of North America. Here goes our Arctic high that's moving down today. Going to push that Arctic front through. Not much moisture to work with here, but we're going to continue this offshore flow here for the next few days. And then eventually by Sunday, let's speed ahead here. Finally, the ridging gets out of here. We start to bring some systems through. You see one through Haida Gwaii there. Another one just north of Vancouver Island, casting a pretty nasty gradient across the region here. Bring some gusts probably to 50 miles per hour for some areas. And then another system diving through here, maybe even towards Thanksgiving Day. So it looks like a 1, 2, 3 storm punch here coming through next week. We'll continue to monitor that. Nothing's set in stone right now, and any deviation in these tracks will mean big difference in impacts for any one area. So we're going to watch that day by day, of course, as always. Here's the European showing the offshore winds, pretty gusty winds through the gorge this morning. And as we go on into tomorrow, you can kind of see these winds increase again here. Fraser River Valley, Stampede Gap, the gorge, northeast winds through eastern Washington, down through eastern Oregon as well. So if we can stir up this stagnant air, and then eventually these Pacific systems will come back in here and then really start to clean us up. Here we go through Monday morning. You can see the storm system approaching Haida Gwaii here and bring a strong frontal system down the Washington, Oregon coast. Some gusty winds through the northwest interior Washington, BC as well. And then the next system comes rolling in here. Would even be a better punch for Seattle Metro down through the Oregon coast, Washington coast, some strong winds as well. So that's a nice 1-2 punch there. And then another storm system rolling in after that. So we'll have to monitor the track of these systems quite closely here as we go through next week, because any deviation south could bring a pretty powerful windstorm here across some of the Pacific Northwest. We'll continue to watch that. Now, taking a look at 10,000 feet here, you can see what's going on. We got this cutoff low out here over the Pacific Ocean. And this is huge ridging. I mean, a lot of warm air well up over Alaska and the Yukon there. And you can see this polar lobe just take a little swing at us here and just nip us. Not moisture to work with here for us. Just going to remain offshore flow for much of the region here. But it will bring a little bit of snowfall to Montana there. As you can see, that cold air spilled down into the USA here. And now then you can see some colder air return to the Gulf of Alaska here, and that's what's going to try to spawn some of these systems here, move just north of Vancouver Island here, and then you see even colder air move out of the Gulf of Alaska here a little bit out closer to Wednesday night. This would be that time frame here for this cold air moving out and systems continuing to move through the Pacific Northwest. So we've got atmospheric river potential and windstorm potential. Nothing too sinister looking just yet, but that can change quickly. So we're going to watch this day by day as these storm systems roll through here and the model runs try to pick up on what's going on. Look at Seattle, the offshore winds for tomorrow. You can see that shown here in the models. But then you can see some smatterings of some bigger windstorms mixed in here as we go through mid to later next week. Again, we're just kind of in fantasy land now, just watching these systems roll in. But it does look likely that we are headed towards a pattern change as the storm train starts to roll in next week. Now, total precipitation, we've got European on the left, GFS on the right. Here goes that Arctic front. You can see it kind of brings some snowfall in the European all the way down to the Okanagan Highlands, even down there too. It'll be a nice little snowy surprise for some people there. You can see Montana, again, the main impacts will remain out there. Then we will remain precipitation free as we go through until Sunday night. You can see some of it start to return here on both the GFS and the European here. And going through the Monday, Tuesday, additional precip moves into the area. GFS brings it a little bit hotter and heavier here all the way down through Northern California coast. But you can see both models agree a lot of precip is going to return, especially Central Cascades of Oregon and northward on the European here. So yeah, storm train is returning, folks. This is the 24-hour snowfall totals. Just wanted to show that Arctic front here for BC. So it's a little dusting of snowfall as possible and some locally higher amounts here in southern BC and northern Washington as we go on. Now taking a look here, Seattle, Tacoma, you can see the big blob of precip showing up here. 50 ensemble members are all agreeing that we will return to precipitation as we go through early next week here. And some of it could be kind of rainy here as you see some of these areas approaching an inch and then even more, if more than an inch in a 24-hour period here. That's the European for Seattle, Tacoma. This is GFS. Some of the ensembles, very few of them though, have that precipitation holding off a bit. But you can see some pretty rainy periods in here, over an inch in a 24-hour period, even on the GFS showing up now. Kind of an uptick from yesterday's model runs. Now looking at the northern hemisphere, you can see Alaska, BC, Washington, Pacific Ocean here. This is our big ridge we've been dealing with out here. Finally starts to get out of here, and you can see the Gulf of Alaska troughing come back pretty quick and start swinging systems back to the Pacific Northwest here. Tries to build a ridge, but as typical this time of year, they're usually transient here, and you start to continue these systems rolling through from the Gulf of Alaska through the extended. So this goes all the way out to November 30th here. And you can see we're going to remain active probably at least through the end of November here for the Pacific Northwest. Taking a look here, the experimental product here still showing that slight risk for heavy precipitation here. Snowfall, no changes there. 6 to 10 day as we get a little bit warmer from these Pacific systems here, and you can see the above average signal for precipitation. 8 to 14 day temperature outlook. Same thing there as what we were showing yesterday for the most part. So yeah, get out and enjoy these days while you can, because the storm train is going to return. Very strong model agreement that we're going to start to get stormy next week here. We're going to bring some systems, maybe even some powerful ones up towards Vancouver Island here through the next week. Any deviation in that track could bring a very powerful windstorm across Pacific Northwest. We could even be talking for an atmospheric river, but it doesn't look like anything like last year or anything of that nature just yet. That can change still though, so we'll just continue to watch it day by day. So enjoy this weather coming up here. Some of the areas are just been basking in sunshine for the last few days. Very unusual for mid-November. It's almost like a little bit of an extension of summer out there. So anyway, we'll continue to do this day by day. Leave some comments below, click like, subscribe. Thanks to all my new members and my new subscribers. I hope you're enjoying the channel, and we'll do this again tomorrow, and I'll talk to you then.